All right, welcome back into the Bobby Carpenter Show. And it's Friday, man. It is the freaking weekend, Schlegs. We are excited about that. Like when you go from the 6-day Buckeye cruise, you come back Wednesday. I was like running around last night. I come back and last night, whatever, Wednesday night. Come back Wednesday night. Like, and I know that there's people that aren't like this, and my wife isn't like this. Not that I don't respect people, but I mean I have a little bit less respect for the people that bring their bags in and then let them sit there for 2 days.
Mm.
I know. I did. Where are we at on that, Schlegs?
Dicey. Oh, you know what I did, Bob? You know what I did? Here's what I did, Bob.
I mean, this shirt, Schlegs, was from the Buckeye cruise. It was already washed, folded, and put away. I arrived, boom. First night, got it done, ran some stuff through the laundry, folded it, put it away on Thursday. Buckeyes were ready to go. And so I had to get everything unpacked. I already was sending out some of my follow-up emails, getting everything done. I have to walk around my house and yell at my kids to put everything away, the stuff that they haven't done for the last week while I was here. But I got back and I'm ready to go. Like we're ready to run. But the problem is now, like we're running right into the weekend, which is good and bad. I need a nap, but I don't need to be. I need to go like no booze for probably a week, and I don't know if I can do that now.
It'll be Saturday. So no, Bob, I'm with you. I went in, got in late because I flew in and came to the Armory, got a quick pump workout, little chest because it was easy to do. I just needed to sweat. And again, I'm traveling. I have because when you go on these trips, like I packed everything literally into a carry-on. And I do the thing where you roll them all up,
Yeah.
And then in my carry-on, I had the clothes I didn't wear. Like I even overpacked in a carry-on. I was like, man, Schlegs, you really got this dialed in. So my one side that had the zipper, that was my clean stuff. And on the other side, that had the thing that you folded over, that was the dirty stuff. So I get home after the Fury game last night nationwide, which did not go well.
So that was last night. Someone tweeted me a picture.
2 nights ago.
That was Wednesday night. The night you got back.
Yeah.
You're telling me that you were at that game, activating him, getting him warmed up. Someone sent me a picture. I go, this has to be an old picture. There's no way.
No, it is not an old picture.
Landed Wednesday, went to the Armory, and then went straight to the Fury game.
I went to the Armory. I did this is exactly what I did. I did dynamic effort bands, right, with the bamboo bar, Rhino Flex. Love that bar. West Side bands, the best. Did that. Then I got the bamboo bar and did incline like stability work for lots of repetitions. Felt really good. Then I was like, man, I got like 15 minutes. So I just did heavy dips. And I did like sets of 25 till I got to 100. And I couldn't get 25. So I just like, I'm going to keep going until I get to 100. Then I was going to do some chest flies, really feel it with some triceps. But somebody was on it. I said, charge to win, and pounded a protein shake. And now here's the good thing. I've been flying. And I like to shower after I fly. I don't have time. So I'm just fermenting, and I just did chest. And I was wearing my Ohio State ROTC shirt that I had on the plane. Changed shirts to an Armory shirt, went to Nationwide Arena, activated them, got them juicy, and then, man, we got beat 3 sets. Now, Omaha is the best team. We were there in 2 of those sets. Got to pull it out. So we got training. Let's see, when do we got it? We got training on Saturday and then Sunday, and then they'll play again. Anyways, I digress. But yes, I was at that game, by the way.
Well, when you say fermenting,
hyping them up up there on the sideline. Well, no. Yellow. I was like, I want yellow cards. Like, I mean, it was awesome. It was awesome.
When you say fermenting, Schleich, just to clarify that for the folks, that means Schleich comes out hot and ready after a workout, no shower, and just locks the scent in and just wears heavier clothes. So that
really good Ariat jeans, look at them. Fermenting, yeah. Or you gag on that. Gag on it, but you can't smell it. Can't smell it because it's that's why you got to get those thicker denim. If I was wearing some of those Muggsy jeans that are nice, they're form fitting, right? Oh man, that stuff would be seeping right out of there. But you know what? When you wear those Ariat jeans and those boots, just locks it in. That way, when you get home, you take it off, you throw them in the washing machine, bumpy.
It's like the Batman costume, Schlegs. It really helps lock in the flavor, the rubber costume to get you going. So you got that going for you. What else we had going for us, Schlegs, was the Buckeye Cruise. I want to tell one more quick story about that. Like, this is one of the great things. Like, you want to see young guys in action. and everything. Yeah, if you were saying hi to them, they'd come and talk to you. And the amount of people I know who when I'm talking to the guys, like, oh yeah, they're just such great young men. They're respectful. They're listening and all this stuff. But then you get to want to see like some personality. So I don't think I've ever heard Tegra Shabola talk in my life. He did a 5-minute interview with me. It was great. Kenyatta Jackson, just like a quiet guy, doesn't really talk a whole lot either. Um, Carson Hinsman, who's fun and very jovial and outgoing. I don't think he was allowed to talk to the media for a while this year. Then came back at an unbelievable finish to the season. Lincoln Keno, it's like no one's really kind of heard from him, maybe a little bit, but he's been the backup and quarterback competing with all that. And like you see these guys, so we got him out here. There was a game.
Caleb
Downs, IGB. I mean, who else? So here's who was there. Here's the full deal. We already rattled this off. Did we do this earlier?
No, I don't know. Do it again.
Okay. Yeah. Caleb Davidson, Kenyatta on defense. And then you had Carson, Tegra, Lincoln. Who am I missing? One more. There was 7.
KJ, Caleb, IGB.
Carson, Tegra, Lincoln, and there was IGB. Who else? It'll hit me here in a minute. I'll have to look up. I got interviews with all the guys, so I'll pull it up on my phone. Anyway, they all get up there, and we do this game. Lorenzo Styles.
Dadgummit.
Yeah, exactly.
Pig Town.
Yeah. Unbelievable. And Lorenzo was smart, locked in. Sonny didn't go. He's afraid of water. He said, I'm like, but we're in a boat. He goes, that's what I told him. I'm like, good for you. Way to give your brother some hell, and not just accept whatever he was saying. But I had this game on the pool deck in front of everybody. And so there was a stack of cards, buzzers. I know I explained this a little bit yesterday. Buzzers, they'd flip the card, they'd have something in. And so like the word would be stay. And initially you could just say a song's name that had stay in the song as lyrics or in the name or sing the lyrics. Well, then it turned out like everybody just sing the lyrics. Like it's like everybody's over here. Schlegs is in it. I'm in on the other side. We had 1s and 2s. Schlegs, 1's on the face, 2's on the chest is what you always say. So we're going back and forth. This is a little snippet of these guys on the pool deck in Buckeye Brotherhood.
No one can ever keep you down. Boom. Let me see. You the best. You the best. The best I ever had. The best I ever had. Yeah, I love it, man. Our last one, guys. Last round. Last round. Scores 105 to 103 right now. I got talking. And what do you guys have over here? Walking down the street in my 6'4".
There we go. That was Shazier. Yeah, like I said, we had everything Schlegs from Eazy-E, some Disney songs. I forgot Kurt Coleman. He had up there. I don't even remember what the word is. I remember him singing under the sea
as Sebastian.
Yeah, and he goes, "Do you have why are you singing with an accent?" He goes, "Because the crab has the accent,
a Jamaican accent, something like that, right?" He was like under the sea, like that. That's what he was. I remember that. Man, that was amazing.
There was about 45 minutes of that, guys going back and forth, some singing more than others, and then probably the best of all of it is I wasn't feeling well on the last day. We had a little bit of the cruise was rolling a little. We got a little seasickness to me on the. Going by, got a nap. We got anchored down, so I felt good. I come walking out, and they improv because we didn't go to a port, so they said, "Hey, let's run it back." A lot of the former players, I don't know if any of the current guys were in there, but plus the day kids were involved. And I watch one of the day girls grab the mic and sing Unwritten by Natasha Bedingfield, like the whole thing. Usually you just sing it to your lyric, but sometimes like the guys, they start really feeling themselves. I'm like, you really can't sing that well. Louder isn't better. More is definitely not better. But they just started rolling with it. And they're just hugging this mic, like licking it like Davy Lee Roth up there. But she sang the whole thing. And I look over at Ryan and Nina. Ryan, he obviously speaks a lot. Nina's not, someone who loves to speak in public. And she goes, "Who are these kids? Like, I don't
Yeah.
even like to talk in front of anyone. They're up there, 6th grade, 8th grade, singing to a whole, 400 people on a pool deck." It was a cappella, by the way. There's not even any music to drown you out. It's
Right.
just you and the mic.
Yeah. It was amazing. And again, so Coach Day makes, he says makes, but I think RJ does a really good job. But he makes RJ get up and say thank you and talk to the people about the family. Like that's kind of the thing, right? Development, right? And RJ is going into his junior year. I believe when he first did, he was in 8th grade.
Yeah.
So again, like you just see these, young day kids getting out there and being able to speak. It was fantastic. You had Dan Clore was up there. You had Mark Pantoni was up there. And they're grabbing the mic and they're singing, and they were all singing older stuff, which is, I mean, listen, guys, it was great. And I believe it was Mia when she did that. I was like, drop the mic, like it's over, like game's over.
Yeah,
Because
so was Mia. I caught it at the very end. I'm like, what is going on here? Because I didn't know we were playing again, and that was awesome. So yeah, that was goodness, that was tremendous. It was a lot of fun, and that's like the personality. I would encourage everybody go on the Buckeye Cruise. You want to see what like guys are like, and what's great is everybody on Buckeye Nation was there, very respectful. And did you see the parch legs? And I can't think who did it, where someone went up and apologized to Ryan and thanked him for Buckeye Nation in one of the events that we
oh
did.
yeah, that was on the stage.
We'll get to that. We're going to talk about that, Schlegs. You let me know what it is.
Okay.
Pull up. You tell Pat. We'll get
It's
it
right here
pulled up.
between Q at the combine and Trey is fast.
All right, we're going to get to that here next after I tell you about our friends over at Export. Parents, athletes, protect what matters most with those Export mouth guards trusted by professional athletes, designed by NHL team dentists. Export mouth guards are scientifically tested, folks, to absorb those high-impact hits, protecting both your teeth and your brain. Export mouth guards feature 3 layers of advanced protection, including a patented use of carbon fiber, custom fit. They 3D print that thing right to your smile. More protection, better performance, max comfort, and clear communication, so you can focus on your game, not on your gear. Don't take chances with your safety. Visit exportguards.com/Bobby. Save 15% on your order. Export, protect what matters most. More of the Bobby Carpenter Show coming up next. All right, here we go, Schlegs. You promised this. You asked for it. Whatever it is you're doing, whatever it is we're pulling up, you let me know what it is, and you tease it up, and let's roll.
Okay. So this was here. I put on there. You got a Pat right here. This one right here. Boom. I'm just highlighting the Doomajink. And somebody actually got up on the ship and was kind of apologizing because they're like, yeah, I kind of said some things too. And but then Bob, you put this in the group chat, and I was like, it's right on the money, right?
Oh,
They
yeah.
called for your job. They said you weren't built for Ohio State. They called you soft. They said you couldn't win big games. They said you weren't a leader. They were wrong. They now refer to you as national champion, Coach Ryan Day. I like that's a home run deal. And you know what? Here's the thing. And this goes back to the hire, and we'll talk more about the coaches that they're bringing in, Bob. But now you are that. And what do you do with that, right? And that's where you go and you chase the 1% of 1%. Honestly, why do you have to be conservative, right? Why do you bring in a Matt Patricia? When you go and you look at like your defense from the year before, your D coordinator leaves, you try to retain them. Hey, cool. You go to Penn State. Where do we want to go? And again, everybody got paid. Everybody got a bump. Everybody got a different title. But you bring somebody in that has experience. Not only does he have multiple Super Bowl rings as a coach, was also a NFL head coach, was a D coordinator for a long time, but he's been in a lot of different systems, in a lot of different fronts. And when you have a unique group of guys with a skill set, I know all the time people are clamoring there, well, what about CJ Hicks? And what about this guy? What about that guy? How are you going to utilize this? That's why you bring somebody like a Matt Patricia in, because like, man, I'm just looking at the guys and what they do and how we could add value and how we could put them in the best position to be successful as the defense while also maintaining the integrity of the defense that we've already had. So it's not necessarily the players that have to make the adjustment. It's the coaching staff, which again, what did our defense do when we allowed them to play without the grade? They played really fast and really violent, and that's what great defenses do. They communicate, they play fast and violent. And so you bring a guy like that in. The other guys are the ones recruiting with the relationships they know about the guys. Boom, he comes in, all this experience, multiple Super Bowls. How can our guys add value and how can we put them in a position to have success? That's why he made the hire. But you can do that because you're now also national champion Coach Ryan Day, and he wants to run it back, run it like that. And that's the expectation of Ohio State, and he knows that.
So it's great. I was I'm gonna try to get Matt Patricia on. Saw my guy Matty P today, talked to him. Didn't bring it up. I brought it up to Walt. You're gonna try to get our guy OG Schlegs, Tim Walton. I'd like to have both of those guys on next week to be able to kind of talk a little bit about this and everything that we got going. So going to try to get that done here for the crew so everybody can get a chance to see and learn a little bit with that. I would say when you talk about Matt Patricia and like what he does, and I always tell something like and Walt's like this too. Like, and Jim Knowles had a great system, and so there's different ways about going about it. But there are certain coaches that are scheme coaches, like system. They've got their system, and I would equate it like this: like you want to go get a great steak, you go to Hyde Park, you go to Jeff Ruby's, dude. They're going to give you Schlegs a great steak. They major in that, dude. It's going to come out. The sides are going to be what you want. And that's going to be exactly what it is. And the consistency, and they're going to give you that thing. Now, if you ask them to make you something like, hey, I would like, I don't know, some stir fry or something like that, or something else. Like, no, that's not what we do. We're really good at this. We stay in our wheelhouse, and this is how we dominate. Matt Patricia is maybe a little bit more Schlegs. Like there's a show called Nailed It where they give you ingredients beforehand, and it's like, hey, make me whatever. And he's creative where, boom, okay, we've got this, we've got that. Let's see what we have. Yeah, I'm used to doing this stuff, but we can build this thing around. I know Walt's like that too. Like, let's figure out what our guys are really good at. We got cover two corners. Let's play cover two. We got man corners. Let's play man. We got dudes who can rush. Let's rush. We don't. Let's figure it out. Maybe we got to blitz a little more. Maybe we can go just 4. But like you figure that out, and boom, all of a sudden it's all good, and then you get it going.
You're absolutely right, Bob. And I will say this. I heard, what was it, Bob? On Thursday, you had Ross Bjork on the Morning Juice. Side nugget, great conversation. Everybody go back, listen to the podcast, Morning Juice. It was you, and I believe Tito was on there. And I'm not going to get into Tito's questions because they're long, and I have no clue where he goes with them. But he had, I know. But you had some great questions, and Ross gave some very poignant, like not super specific because he doesn't need to be, right? He's also
he answers the question a lot,
but he does, man. He does. And one thing that he talked about was, I believe it was Tito that asked a question about Ryan Day and the staffs and what goes all into a conversation. How has the game of football changed from firing coaches in 2025 to 2005, right? 20 years difference, a lot. And I really like this answer because I believe what makes universities and programs and NFL programs really good. It's the cohesiveness of the staff. And then you're like, well, why do we miss the mark here? Why do we miss the mark there? Why do we do this well here? How can we fill in the gaps? How can we be better? But it's the consistency that allows you to do this. And completely believes in Ryan Day and what they did, validated by winning a national championship. So now we proceed and move forward. But it was just that consistency. And the reason I bring that up, he was talking about it from Ryan in perspective, but Ryan's saying the same thing too. Man, I got a great defense. Do I need to make wholesale changes and bring in an entire new staff that has to have a D coordinator in this type and bring his own people? No, I can bring somebody that can manage that side of the ball because now that he manages everything along with NIL and the portal and what are we going to do at spring ball? Like he has to work on the business, not work in the business. I need the guy to work in the business to run it. What do you have? You have position coaches in OG, Larry Johnson, James Laurinaitis that know the guys that are doing all the recruiting. I keep that cohesiveness to that staff. I bring a guy in that can plant the flag and say, this is how we're going to execute, while also bringing in what those guys know the best, which is their players, along with all of their intellectual property to go and produce the best football, best defense that we can have at Ohio State.
Absolutely, Shaggy. That's what you want to see. And it's interesting. I also kind of talked to him about some of the enforcement stuff and different things and in the playoff. And Ross does a great job, man. He gives really good answers. And like I said, he may not get into the crazy granular details because some of that's not for public consumption and they might not even be like fully defined yet. But he does sit there and tell like this is where college football is going. This is how Ohio State is going to be a first mover in this. One of the things that I was disappointed that I didn't ask him on, and Thidoff said he was going to ask him on, and he didn't. What are we talking about? What do we got in the chat here? We got roosters and all kinds of things. Are we going to get to? Do we have pictures for the roosters tasting? Is that what we want to get to, Schlegs?
Oh man, yeah. I don't even know. I don't have any pictures for the rooster tasting.
Why does Pat just have roosters written down here? I don't even know what's going on.
Hey, roosters, side nugget, roosters right here. Boom.
Hold on.
Ohio deal, right? Ohio chain, great people. We've known them for a long time. Their founders were on the ship this year, Bob. They donate, just so you guys know, Roosters donates over $1 million to a variety of philanthropic endeavors. I know this year on the Buckeye Cruise, they gave $250,000 and one of Travel Partners' own, Kim Collins, was at the James, and it was great to watch that video of her. But Roosters is fantastic. But that was the wing. No, the Roosters wing tasting, Bob. That was for when we have AJ on the show next.
Yes, gotcha.
Because I want him to articulate his why. Because, guys, Roosters wing tasting, they go in and they make like the hottest ones. And there's a show, I guess, where people taste like the hottest wings on the planet. And one AJ Hawk, Aaron James Hawk, consumed the two hottest. Okay, but I want him to get in there. That's a completely different thing.
I got you. Okay.
But back to Ross.
Oh, just Ross does a great job. We talked about the enforcement of like, what is college football going to look like? You know, they're trying to build this third party. And he said, no one wants to sit there and be judged by their peers. We need someone who's outside of this. We can't have the AD at Baylor judging, you know, the school at, you know, Tennessee, or nobody wants to see Alabama's AD judging, you know, whatever, Penn State. Like, we need third-party people who this is what they do. And so it was very interesting. And everybody's got to sign up when they agree to that. I'm like, you can't be going to court anymore. Like, we all signed it. Just because you got caught or whatever, that's what it's going to be. So it's that it was really good listening to him talk about that. The one thing I didn't ask him, though, and I'm mad, because Nebraska just pulled out of their home and home with Tennessee, I think next season, 26-27. And they pulled out of that. And Ohio State's got Texas, home and home. And then they've got Bama and Georgia. I'm not sure in which order, home and home. And it's like, I should have asked, like, hey, do we have any plans of pulling out of these? Like, Texas is happening, but are we staying in those? Because I know we talk about, like, putting good inventory, playing big teams, doing this. We're Ohio State, and it seems like that's going to be the case. So hopefully that's it. I didn't get a chance to ask to him about that, but yeah. Coming up next, Emeka Egbuka might be the number one player and number one receiver in this draft. Might be the first Buckeye taken, as we talked a little bit about that yesterday in Tailgate Talk. Peter Schrager, loves him. The coaches love him. He's the hero of the combine interview-wise. But can we pronounce his name? Well, let's take a look at that next here on the Bobby Carpenter Show. All right, welcome back in. And if we're going to pull that up from NFL Network, and it's great. It's very complimentary of them. But I remember watching it. It's like trying to see this. Like, what is going on, Pete? Like, Peter Schrager from the NFL Network does a good job on Good Morning Football. And it's always a good question. He says, we want to try to figure out that hidden gem, the guy who does the hidden gem of the interviews, like who really impressed. And of course, Buckeyes.
Ask all the coaches who their favorite interview was during the week of interviews. And sometimes it's the off the wall, zany, big personality kids. And then there's others that it's like, I want this guy to marry my daughter. And that player is Emeka Egbuka out of Ohio State, the wide receiver who was so dynamic this season. 81 catches, 1,000 yards, and throughout the college football playoffs was the go-to guy. Now, look, we know that Ohio State has so many great wide receivers in the NFL right now, and we can go through the history of Ohio State receivers going back to the late Terry Glenn, and then after him to Joey Galloway and to whoever else you want to go through. But the truth of the matter is, you go through this player's highlights and you go through this player's reel. Consistency, consistency, consistency. And then the interview process, he was so good. I also liked.
That's good. And he's great in there. And I was like, it's very complimentary. And I know that he may not have like the normalest name around, but he played at Ohio State and he's probably going to be a first round draft pick. It's like, he's kind of a big deal, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe.
Play the next one there, Pat. I put in the chat. Play the next one because it's really good.
You're pulling this
again,
up.
just to give you context why Pat puts this on there. So again, like Emeka, first off, great interviews. And I would love to hear what people thought of Donnie.
To give a big.
Yep. Here you go.
A quick background on the room that I stepped into at Ohio State. There was Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Julian Fleming, Jamison Williams, Cameron Babb, Marvin Harrison Jr. That's probably one of the craziest rosters I've ever heard in my life. So I think some of you can just picture what that room was like. And that was really the reason I decided to go to Ohio State, was because I didn't want to go to a place where I wasn't going to be challenged by my peers. I wanted to go to a place where, in order to see the field, I had to grow and at an exponential rate, because they were all growing as well. So being able to play with them and just being in that competitive atmosphere is why I'm standing before you all today, for sure.
And the reason I bring that up is when you have somebody that is going to be a first-round draft pick, Bob, and he says, I didn't want to go to a place where I wouldn't be challenged by my peers. That's a value prop. And I want everybody to understand this, right? As we talk NIL and Ross Bjork was talking about even like the contracts through revenue sharing, Bob, on your show, Morning Juice. And when these guys get into their contracts, but part of the value proposition of Ohio State is, yeah, you can go there and you could be that alpha the entire time, or you can go to Ohio State.
Do you want to be the wolf in the sheep pack, or do you want to be like the head wolf of the wolf pack?
That's basically it. And then guess what happened, right? So Emeka has an option. And this is why we all love Emeka, and we got to experience him. And first off, physically, he just looks like a pro, Bob. Second off, he just carries himself like a pro. Third, he made a decision. He could have went to the NFL last year. Guess what? We got NIL. I can stay for another year, but I also want to stay and I want to give back, because I know that I have Carnell Tate and Brandon Ennis and Jeremiah Smith and Bam and Bam and Bam, and I got a great room, and I want to leave that room better than I found it. And I think those guys need a little bit of my presence in that room, so I'm going to stay. And guess what? They pushed him. Right? Leadership has no age, but I want to continue to be pushed, continue to be developed, continue to set myself up for success. So that we talk about all the time, when you go to the league, the real money is made in the second contract, and it's about how fast do you get to that second contract. Well, the more developed you are when you get into the league, the faster you will get there, and that's really the value proposition that Ohio State has right now in college football.
Absolutely. And people talk about legacy. And this class, they always say the legacy of this, the senior group, and a lot of them all came back, was they came back and led Ohio State. And it was a bumpy season, and it wasn't maybe the one that they would have wanted to see. And, Spidoff asked me yesterday, Schleiks, he's like, hey, would you rather have had the perfect undefeated season if you're a senior, or had those losses to Oregon and Michigan? And I go, everybody just wants green lights. Like, you want green lights in life. Nobody wants to get stopped. But when you stop, that's a chance for you to think and to reflect and to think, how do I go forward in maybe a different way? And maybe it pays off that day. Maybe it pays off that week. Maybe it pays off in 5 years. But going through, like I told you, Slags, this stuff, going through hard things, getting up and figuring out like what your day is going to be like, what your life is going to be like after devastating situations, man, like that hardens you and it forces your mind to think through it. And so I said, when you look back on it, you'd rather have the tough path. Just walking the tough path sucks when you just like, man, everybody else is cruising there on the beach. Why did I choose? Why did I choose to ultimately take the mountain road? And that's Emeka. And so I told him, like, dude, your legacy isn't the wins. That's part of it. And like, that's what people will see. I go, the legacy is, and we got to see a little bit of this legacy already. I go, it's when you leave, what does your room look like when you're gone? have you been able to cast a long enough shadow to impact all of those other guys so that they have embraced and absorbed the character that you have and the tenets and the beliefs and that hard work and the dedication, the commitment? Like, are they going to go out there on the Monarch and be able to work every day? Are they going to be trying to figure out how do I start pushing edges and get my edge, and try to find a way to do that? And you could tell by the guys on the boat, because not a lot of these guys have played a ton, but you felt like there was a similar grind there. There was a similar belief and understanding. And I think they did a good job. Now we'll find out and time will tell, but you feel like these guys are in a good spot. And a lot of that's Mecca when he comes through there and you're like, man, it's going to be sad to see you go, but I feel like you trained the next guys well enough.
Yep, absolutely, Bob. And I would say this too, like even on that ship, you know what, Ryan brought this up on the ship, Bob. And these young guys that are on the boat, the leaders in the building, they had the national championship up. And what did he say, Bob? They're like, hey, we want this stuff removed. Like, I mean, obviously keep up that we won a national championship in 2024. Keep up those signs, but we don't need it displayed all over the place. And the reason he said that was because the leaders of this new team, Ohio State Buckeye football 2025, we haven't done anything yet. Last year's team was last year's team. This year's team is this year's team. We haven't done anything. They've already been going through mat drills. Matter of fact, boom, this morning went through another one. And then guess what? Spring break. Then guess what? Spring football. Here we go. Buckle up, Buttercup. And then bam, now you're into your Maymester and into your summer conditioning and then camp. And that's why it was great that I was there on the ship because, I did some things with them very, very sparingly because I was like, listen, man, you guys have been training your face off. I know what it is. It's not going to hurt your body to do some mobility work in the sauna, like recover, sleep. You know what I mean? Like just kind of take care of your body because as soon as you go back, you're right back into the meat grinder. I guarantee you, your body's going to feel a little bit better having had a little bit of this time. So make sure that you eat properly. Make sure you're hydrating your face off properly with H2O and, doing the things that you need to recover because when you go back, you're right back into business. And it's okay to press pause for a hot second. Remember, Urban talked about this all the time. Working a game. Right now, we ain't working a game. We're like celebrating Ohio State and being philanthropic. And then as soon as I get back, boom, now I'm going to work the game. And they do a very, very nice job with it. But this is a different team, man. Every year is different. And now these guys have to take ownership of this team.
Buckeyes, spring ball coming up. A lot of blue bloods canceling their spring games. What's that going to look like? What will it look like at Ohio State? Find out coming up next. All right, welcome back in the Bobby Carpenter Show, Schlegs. Here with some of our headlines as we go through all of this. Well, one of the headlines we've got is the Blue Bloods canceling the spring games. And some of these teams out there, you wonder, who is that? Well,
why does it say Ohio State on there?
Well, here's the thing. And so that's why everybody has said that. But Ohio State, I can assure you, they're having a spring event, a festivity that I need to put all this in my calendar. I haven't done it yet. I had the great head chief of staff, Schlegs, Quinn Temple. I was like, hey, what are we looking like here with the spring calendar? Because it's different. It was always the same for a long time, and I always knew exactly what it was. This year, it's a little bit different. So I was like, okay, I need to take a peek at it. Hoof David Copperfield. It is going to be, I believe, April 12th, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, I have to blow it up. April 12th will be the spring. It still says on the calendar, the spring game. Now, is it more of a showcase? Is that what it is? Like Nebraska straight up said, like, we're not doing a spring game. I think Texas said the same thing. Like, but are you trying to replace that? And is it a true spring game? I mean, really, Ohio State, even with Urban, like, there was the festivities, you had the races, you have Cardale Jones throwing out there. Go ahead.
No, listen, man, it was a showcase. It was, I mean, JT and Cardale, like, didn't do a lot, They had a passing contest one time, Bob. We had a race between guys and regular students, Bob. We had a push-up contest between athletes and random people in the middle that I was MC for the first one. I was, boom, just McDizzle out there, like hyping everybody up in front of people. So it was itself a showcase. guys, listen, it's not a spring game when you don't divide up evenly and play good on good, first versus ones, twos versus twos, or even if you had one versus twos, two versus ones, offense, defense, it doesn't matter. But like, are you still keeping score? Yeah, I guarantee you they're probably going to keep score in some form or fashion. You had that last year. Regardless of whether you call it a game or you call it a showcase, there's still going to be something because, again, let's not forget what this is. It's an opportunity for coaches to get in the box, have coaches on the sideline, and work out that dynamic. Because every time you have a game like this, showcase doesn't matter. You're going to have a head coach of the Scarlet, and you're going to have a head coach of the Gray, Bob. That's what it is. I remember our senior year after we graduated, I was like a quote unquote, like, assistant head coach of the gray team, and I wore a gray sweater vest with no sleeves. Like, that was the thing.
You wore a gray sweater vest because a vest by definition doesn't have sleeves. You didn't wear an undershirt. You wore a sweater vest. Your burn was fantastic because you had – I mean, the Ohio State spring game can either be 45 and trash or it can be like 70 and 75 and torch you. And you had the 75 day with the sweet burn, and then you had the straight V-neck burn right down the middle. And Tress was just shaking his head at you as you were out there as the figurehead coach of the gray team.
Yeah. And so, guys, this is what it's going to be. And so it's an opportunity for the coaches. It's an opportunity for young guys, right, to be their first time in the shoe, right, and actually getting meaningful reps. It's not going to be for the guys that have already been there and done that. We already know who you are. But it's for that, and more importantly, it's for the fans. It's an opportunity to bring your families and experience it. And also, side nugget, it's an opportunity for families to come, and because they always do something at the Woody after the game where coaches and siblings and family members get to mingle with each other, mingle with the coaches. I believe, too, it's the same night we do Saddle Up, baby, right there in the Woody that raises money for, Ryan's charity, On Your Sleeves Mental Health, and the Buckeye Cruise for Cancer. That's great. So all those come together at that time. Ain't canceling nothing. Rename it, doesn't matter. It's the same thing.
I love that. Yeah, I got to figure out. I wonder if Saddle Up will be the same day because it's a different time. I mean, Saddle Up's always fun. The next weekend, I believe, is Easter, if I look at it correctly on the schedule and on the calendar there because, the 12th is Passover, and then, Easter's that next Sunday. So curious to kind of see how all that breaks and what goes on there, when the Saddle Up will be. But yeah, it's all great. There'll be something there. Ohio State's always going to have something in the spring for the fans. Ryan's talked about this, just how important that is to get there. And like you said, get the young guys on the field. Doesn't matter how big of a high school you played in. You didn't play in that. And if you did maybe play in a big stadium in high school, like it wasn't full. And so to have, 95,000 people in a stadium, 100,000 people in a stadium, when you're doing anything, I don't care if you're out there playing, checkers, Schlegs, like it's going to get your juice going a little bit because you're not going to make a fool of yourself. You want to go out there and get after it in a big way. So while it may not be a game, we'll see exactly how it looks. There's still going to be something there for the Buckeyes. All right. We're going to take a quick break. After that, we're going to come back with our tailgate talk. We're going to answer some of your questions coming up next. All right, Schlegs, welcome to Tailgate Talk. We answer your questions, get everything going here. A couple stuff that came in yesterday in the chat, we didn't get a chance to answer it. So I was like, you know what? Like, let's just write it down. Let's save it for tomorrow. Number one question we'll go with to you right here, Schlegs. It came down. It said Jack, JT, or Donnie. Who do you think is the first guy drafted?
I say Donnie. I say Donnie because of his versatility, moved very well. I think here's the deal, guys. In any draft, when there is a run, there's always a hierarchy of outside pressure. And you've seen our game today change to where it's that tackle, perimeter edge rusher. But we also have seen the Philadelphia Eagles and what being able to disrupt the interior of the offensive line can look like as well. So when you have a guy that's as versatile as Donnie, I believe he's going to be a guard. Hell, I think Donnie could be a center if he had to. but you have somebody that can play multiple positions and do it at an elite level, even when he was out of position, aka the college football playoff. I think he's probably the most versatile guy. And when they start to make those runs on tackles, it's going to naturally go to the guards. But it's all predicated upon where those guys go and the runs that they have. Do they make a run on guards? Or does somebody already take the top tier deep, pass rushers? And then all of a sudden, boom, at the end of it, they're like, oh, boom, a Jack goes or a JT goes, like, oh, I got to go get that guy or I got to go get this guy. Then they make a run. Like, that's always how it works, predicated upon where those teams need that fit.
All right. And I tend to agree with you. I think Jack, I thought there would be a chance for him to be the first guy off. The more I've researched into this draft, it's really deep at defensive ends.
It
and
is.
so usually when people, they don't draft him as high unless they feel like there's a big separation. He's like, I can get a similar player in 10 picks. So I'm going to take something that might be a little more scarce, not a lot of tackles. I think there's some guards, but not a robust quantity or a robust quantity as well. And then one other question came in. Will Will Howard's combine performance hurt him? People say he didn't play, didn't do the best there. Or do you think the film will ultimately matter more? You've got about a minute.
Well, I want to take 30 seconds. I think the film will carry more weight. You got to remember, when you go to the combine, you're throwing to guys that are just running routes. Like, there's no timing. There's no, you're taking it off of okay, you know exactly how fast Emeka runs. You know exactly how fast JJ runs. I'm going to put it on there. I'm just going to say this. The dude was a 74% passer this season. I'm going to go watch the film. All that does is gives you one of these. It's like, okay, let's go evaluate the film and let's see you at the pro day when he's throwing to his own dudes, right? So not worried about it. Bob, you.
All right. Yeah, I think it could hurt a little bit, as far as some of the running and different things like that. And they're like, he didn't jump very far. It's like, all right, is the guy a good enough athlete or is he not? That's what you got to figure out. But I think they will lean more on the film. And he's got some really good film, especially the second half of the season and in the playoff run, that should win the day right there.
And pro day also, guys, if you don't do your very best, AKA they've had 3.5 weeks from the end of their season, take a week off. So let's just say 4 weeks. You got 4 weeks to prepare for this, where all the AYOs that are already in there that didn't go to the playoffs have had 8 weeks, maybe even 10. That's a huge difference, guys.
Absolutely. All right. Take a quick break. Coming up, we got our parting shots with one Anthony Schlegel. Parting shot, Schlegs, is going to be dude of the week. We've got 40 seconds here. You get 25. Well, who's your dude?
Oh, man. Well, that's a great question, Bob. Well, I'm going to say this. My dude of the week, selfishly, I'm going to use the Buckeye Cruise for Cancer because we just came off of it. So just the fact that you have a national championship coach that also sees that it's important to bring his current players on the ship, be able to communicate, bring your family on the ship, be able to give back, not only of your time, talent, and treasure. I just mentioned treasure because financially he gives back, but Ryan Day and everything that he's done for Ohio State, everything that he continues to do in the community of Columbus, Ohio, trying to make Ohio State the best it could possibly be, whether it's on the football field or in the lab or at the James Cancer Hospital. That's special. So, boom, Ryan Day.
Yeah, that makes sense. Ryan Day. The good news is Ryan Day is more cognizant of, he has greater clock awareness than you. Because when I say 20 seconds, you talk for a minute. So next time I'll have to say 5 under that and get you back to where you need to be. Mine's going to be, I think 7-8 year NFL vet, just retired out for the Cincinnati Bengals, played his entire career in the state of Ohio, Buckeye, Bengal, played, I believe, at Moeller. Okay, I thought it was Moeller. Wanted to make sure I got that right. No one got upset. But kudos to him, man. Job well done. Longest fumble return in NFL playoff history, 98 yards last year for the Bengals to top the Ravens. Sam's one of my favorites, man. Worked his butt off there. You were there with him, Schlegs. Kudos for him to a career well done. That's it for us today. Stay locked in. Stay tuned. We will see you next week on Monday for the Bobby Carpenter Show.